So of course, low muscle and higher fat is just due to your training and your diet. But certainly, let's say if you've been doing the right things, if you've been going to the gym and you've been training kind of hard, not perfect, of course not, but you've been putting in some work, and then you come home and you've been eating higher protein and you've been researching, you've been watching the videos on fitness and everything. And so you've been putting in some work and you don't see any like major results for a while. Like for example, there's guys out there that have been going to the gym at least 3 times a week, actually like training pretty hard. Like you'll see them in the gym, they're grunting as they hit the weights. They're kind of doing progressive overload, and of course they're not perfect, but they still look skinny fat 2 years in. And this of course comes down to multiple reasons, not just low testosterone. One of the big reasons why someone might go to the gym for 2 years and look relatively the same is that they haven't bulked their body weight enough. The first year that you want to gain muscle, you're going to the gym consistently. You can build, like bodybuilders say, on average, like roughly 10 pounds of muscle mass. And of course that's very different. Some guys could be able to build like 15 pounds, 20 pounds. Some guys maybe only like 5. But to build that muscle, it needs to come from somewhere. It needs to come from like an anabolic state inside of your body, and the biggest, most consistent anabolic state that you can have is just a calorie surplus. That means that if you're watching this right now and you're thinking, yeah, I probably have low testosterone because my body doesn't look that different and I've been going to the gym for 6 months. What I'd ask you is, how much do you weigh right now compared to how much you did weigh when you first started? If, for example, you're saying that you've been training pretty hard, you're dieting like pretty good, and you step on the scale and it isn't really that different from what you started with. Let's say you started 6 months ago at 160 pounds on the scale, and right now you're 159. You're probably not going to look that much difference because you're pretty much the same weight. And then there's the guys who don't even weigh themselves at all, so they don't even have this metric like that. That could be you. You could be watching this thinking, yeah, I've not even gotten any bigger, but like you don't even know how much you weigh to begin with. You need some data to track. What I'd like to see before you self-diagnose yourself with low testosterone is that you step on the scale and you actually see a number that's like at least 20 pounds higher than what you used to be after your first year of training. So if you stepped on the scale on the first day of your training and you were 160 pounds, then at the end of 12 months, if you stepped on the scale and you were 180, I'd say that's a fairly like pretty much perfect bulk. It's not like ultra lean, and of course you will gain some fat, but it's like you should be okay with that in your first year of training. It's like just pack on the muscle. You've got noob gains, please just eat a lot and just go to the gym, man. You'll make a lot of progress. But a lot of guys don't do that. So if that's the first protocol, if you're not making muscle in the first year, let's first focus on bulking, progressive overload, sleep, all those important things. But then let's say if you've genuinely been doing that, you've genuinely been sleeping okay, you've genuinely been training kind of hard, and you can literally see data on the scale that shows that you have gained weight, significant weight in the last 6 to 12 months, and you still look bad, you still don't look like you have that much muscle, you still literally can't see any new muscle on your arms, then there's something else up, isn't there? And so low testosterone can cause very little muscle and strength gains. And when it comes to taking steroids, a lot of people in the bodybuilder community always say something. They say like, steroids isn't a cheat code, you still have to work really, really hard if you take steroids. Past a certain level, sure, but to begin with, not really. There's at least one research that I remember that showed that if someone took steroids and didn't weight train at all, they literally just took steroids and just, sat around, they built, I believe, 6 pounds of lean muscle mass in like the 1 month trial or the 2 month trial that the study was going on. If they took steroids and then trained on top of that, it was more like 10 pounds of lean muscle mass that they built in like 2 months, which is what a normal person would probably build in his first year of training, never mind the years after that where the muscle gain is slower. And then they also compared this with someone who was natural going to the gym, and that guy made like I think 1 pound of muscle in the first 2 months. This is like it's a study that I remember seeing literally years ago, so probably got like the numbers wrong and everything. But from my perspective, that literally meant like steroids are kind of a cheat code, especially in the earlier years of your training. And of course, once you get to like bodybuilder level and some big guys taking them, it's like, yeah, that guy still have to go to the gym for like 10 hours a week or something. But those are two extremes, right? One is like the guy who sees no progress in like a year and he's probably got low testosterone. Then the other guy is like, the guy who blasts some gear and then he's made 10 pounds of muscle in like a month, right? Those are two extremes. But what if we consider the naturally higher testosterone, better genetics in terms of muscle mass kind of guys? This is where it gets really interesting and really blackpilling. Once I tell you this, you'll never be able to look at men the same way, right? This only accounts for guys who don't really go to the gym that much, right? If there's a guy who probably goes to the gym 6 times a week, resistance training, it's like we can't look at him for what I'm about to say. But specifically for the guys that that don't really go to the gym that much, have a look at their builds. Literally just physically look at the size of them and you will see such a drastic difference, which is down to pretty much 2 things. It's just genetics and testosterone, you will see such a huge difference, bro. There are people out there that have a six-pack and pecs literally just naturally without even going to the gym. This is such like a blackpilling moment. My best friend in university, Levi, he's from Kenya, and he wasn't like big, I remember he stepped on my scale once. He was 140 pounds and he was 5'8", something like that. Quite kind of short, right? And I was 6'1" and I was like 160. And his physique, his body composition looked better than mine. Now, of course, he was shorter and he had very different genetics and probably testosterone and everything. But then I remember we started going to the gym together. By the time I got into university and I was good friends with this guy, I had been like 3 years of like, yeah, eat, sleep, lift, repeat, like that was the main thing in my mind. And yeah, of course, I did so many things wrong. My sleep wasn't great. I was drinking quite a lot, but so was he. And my training was okay, whatever. Just, I wasn't perfect at all, right? But 3 years of like dedication and everything, right? I swear, this guy went to the gym for around 2 to 3 months and looked better than me, significantly better than me. And his weights that he was using in the gym weren't that far. So I remember we did this like, this high rep competition with bench press, 20 kg plate either side. We only had a Smith machine in our gym, which isn't ideal. We just put a 20 kg plate. We just saw how many reps we could bust out on this Smith machine. And I remember I got like pretty much double his, but I had been training for so much longer. And when we took our shirts off, he literally began to look way better and more muscular than me. And then also there was another friend of ours who was a flatmate of mine. And he was one of those naturally, like, he didn't go to the gym or anything. He didn't have an amazing body composition, but he was naturally just kind of like a bigger build guy. He was like 6'1", 6'2", a little bit taller than me, I think, so about 6'2", and maybe like 170 pounds, 180 pounds. Not lean, not fat, 15% body fat, like to drink beer and stuff. And sometimes he'd come into the gym because he knew I'd be in there, and he'd just talk to me about something like, oh, lad, oh, this happened today, and oh, are you coming out later? He'd just around whilst I was in the gym, we'd talk. He'd been to the gym like 20 times before in his life. He'd grab the 20 kg dumbbells, and his form wasn't perfect, but he'd hit it well. Sometimes I'd be on the Smith machine, like, benching with 20 kg plate and then a 10 kg plate, going for like 8 reps or something, and I'd stand up and he'll literally just sit on it, no warm up, no stretch, no nothing, bust out like 5 pretty good reps. Bro, I swear to God, these guys weren't taking gear. They weren't secretly training or dieting or anything. I lived with the guy. I knew him like really well. It's just the genetic difference, and I think testosterone also plays a role in this. Some guys, you can literally just look and like smell the testosterone coming from him. You can literally just look at some guys and think, me, like, that's a Neanderthal over there, bro. He's got 4-digit testosterone.